Welcome back to the Warriors Corner. Please join me in welcoming Major General Frank Muth, Program Manager, Saudi Arabian National Guard Modernization Program.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. Kayf alak? Asak taib. How's everybody doing this afternoon? All right, so a couple things, ground rules. One is, if anybody who knows me, I'm pretty energetic. The aide found a Diet Coke, which is pouring gasoline on fire, so we're all in trouble, because I'll be moving around a little bit. My name is Frank Muth, and I'm the 21st Program Manager for the Saudi Army National Guard. I'm honored to be here today with you, along with fellow teammates, Sergeant Major Stevenson, Sergeant Major of the program, and CW5 Troy DeGauler, who is the chief of the program. So I thought before we started, we're going to show a little video, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of who we are and what we're about, and then we'll get into some of the programmatics. So roll the hua. All right, so what we saw there was, that's AUSA, our higher headquarters, which is out of Redstone Arsenal and also under Army Materiel Command. And that's who basically we work for. Now, before I start talking about what we are and what our team's about, I want to give you a quick history about Saudi Arabia. I want to give you a history about King Abdulaziz and his rise to bringing the Arabian Peninsula together under one crown, under one country. And why is that important? I've been doing this job for 15 months. And I will tell you that understanding the Saudi culture, understanding their history, because they live it every day. They are proud of it. They're proud of their nation. They're proud of who they are. And for you, for our team, to be able to understand and be able to connect with them, because, you know, there it's all about three things: time, trust, and relationships. And the only way you can achieve that is to spend time with them, all right, develop the trust, and ultimately build a relationship that allows for security cooperation. Because as we build our SFABs today, let me tell you what, at 44 years as we've been in existence, we are the original SFAB, all right? Security Force Assistance Brigade. But we are much larger only because we cover down on 130,000 soldiers. So what's this history I want to talk about? 1875, 1876, depending on the Gregorian or the Islamic calendar, King Abdulaziz was born in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And in 1890, there was a guy there, the mayor of Riyadh, basically disgraced King Abdul's family, his father, kicked him out, and they went into hiding in Kuwait. He comes back into Saudi Arabia with his brother and a small band of warriors in 1902. Ambushes this same guy that threw his family out and disgraced them and kills him in Riyadh. And that starts his march across the Arabian Peninsula to consolidate the country, and in 1932 establishes the nation that we know today as the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. His relationship with the United States was after the Conference of Cairo in 1943. He is taken to the USS Quincy, a destroyer, off the coast of Cairo, and there he meets with FDR. And it's the first time that the U.S. and Saudi relationship begins, and what ultimately came out of that were 3 DC-3s that were delivered within 6 months to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Fast forward to 1973. And in 1973, the Crown Prince at the time strikes a deal or an agreement with the ambassador to Saudi Arabia from the U.S. and the program manager, Saudi Army National Guard, with a mission of modernizing, advising, and assisting, becomes our organization. And we've been in existence for 44 years, and I'm the 21st program manager. And it truly is an honor. So now you've understood the history of what that nation is and how it is formed. Now, what about the Saudi Army National Guard? I talked to you about King Abdulaziz from 1902 to 1932, establishing, going throughout the Arabian Peninsula, consolidating power. How did he do that? He would go around to the Bedou tribes, all right? He would visit them, and he would bring them into his fold, into his vision for the nation, and then would join his army. They were called the White Army because they wore Bedou robes, were white. That is the foundation of the Saudi Army National Guard. The ones that formed behind him, that allowed for him to establish power, to defeat the other forces in Saudi Arabia and consolidate power. That is the history of the Saudi Army National Guard. That's why they lived their history. They are the ones that helped found the nation supporting King Abdulaziz. So that's the importance, and that's the difference of what Saudi Army National Guard is to some of the other ministries that exist within Saudi Arabia. To include, their recruiting is to the Bedou tribes. It's not as a nation as a whole. They'll go to the Bandar tribe or the Tuwajri tribe and say, we need this many men to be able to fill the ranks. And that's how they form their organizations and their units. So again, you need to understand that before I talk about the program, what their history is. Because how they see themselves and how we understand how they see themselves will either let us be effective as a security cooperation force or ineffective. Because we have to understand the way they think. Now, before I get into the next slide, 130,000 soldiers in the Saudi Army National Guard, 17 brigades. Of the 17, we cover down and provide security assistance for 11. Of the 11, 5 are LAV brigades, largest LAV fleet in the world, 1,900 LAVs. And we're finishing out modernizing and filling the last 2 LAV brigades. Between now, we've got about 350 more to deliver between now and November 18. The configuration of those LAVs they're unknown in the world, because you have an assault tank or an anti-tank one roll. It's basically the old Hammerhead. You've got the assault gun, 90 millimeter assault gun. You've got a 120 millimeter turret shot mortar that can either go direct fire or indirect. And then you've got the standard command and control and the LAV 25. Very unique force. And then, so they have 5 of those brigades, and they have security brigades. And they also have, which are riot control, and then they have quick reaction brigades, which are riot control, but also have a combat aspect to it. And then lastly, which they started in 2008, and I'll go into a little bit more detail, aviation. And the founder of that, one of those guys is right back there. Don, wave your hand. All right. Don and I go way back, aviators from way back. So they started in 2008 with the concept of standing up an aviation force for the first time. And we just finished fully fielding the first brigade with the H6I deliveries in this past May. So ultimately, they're going to build 3 operational brigade and a training brigade, and I'll get that into it a little bit more. Slide. So that's the history. That's the force, the Saudi Army National Guard. So how are we made up, and then what is our mission? And how do we try to accomplish what we've been assigned to do? Okay, train, advise, and assist, and modernize. So first, there's our mission statement. I want you to take 2 words out of that mission statement: capability and capacity. Okay? So this is how we define, really, we say it the other way. I should probably change it in the mission statement. Capacity. What's capacity? In our eyes, security cooperation, security assistance. If we buy them a LAV 25, okay, that is capacity. If we buy them an H-64 Echo or a Mike model Blackhawk, or they have these Caesar, these French guns. Actually, a pretty good gun. It's like a 777, but it's on the back of the truck. All right, that is capacity. But unless they are trained to both use it, employ it, maintain it, and employ it as a combined arms team in combat, that's all it is. It's not capability. That's just capacity. It could just be sitting there in the motor pool, collecting dust. Not getting rusty there because it doesn't rain much, but collecting dust. What we bring to the table, one of our missions is taking that capacity, which we are part of in the FMS process of buying, and building capability. Because otherwise, it's just sitting there. All right? And we're not doing our jobs, and we're not building that force that we've been in charge to do. To the right. So we're made up. This is, again, very unique security cooperation force. Doesn't exist. 130 uniformed personnel. Of the 130 uniformed personnel, just to cover those LAV brigades, the maneuver, we have 70 to senior uniformed personnel. Lowest rank NCO, sergeant first class. Lowest rank officer, major. All right, and then we have the warrants. On the aviation side, we have 50. We are in the cockpit with them. So we're not just advising them. We're out. We have instructor pilots. We have senior instructor pilots, one of the most senior Apache pilot in the United States Army. And they're out there and they're getting the cockpits with them. They're training them on maintenance. They're training them on safety. They're training them on the basic skills, what we call 1000 series tasks. We're taking that capacity and we're building that capability. Along with the maneuver and the aviation, our number one priorities after I got there for about 6 months and I went, yikes, of course, is our logistics, our S&S, which again, that is led by a 06, and then his team is about 32. You can't get out that motor pool unless your logistics is straight, unless you have the ability to fix it, not just there in the motor pool, maintain it, train it, and then fix it again, right? And guess what? There was a big problem. And as soon as we recognized that, our team made that our number one priority. So those are the three divisions that are underneath there to include health affairs. I'll talk a little bit about that. And then underneath that, we have a G staff. And so right here, contract division. We have an entire division of nothing but contracts, contract specialists. We oversee about 123 contracts, and we outlay about $120 million a month is what our bills are that we end up having to pay. We have a program management division. Program management division, all they do, again, is as we go through the FMS case, letters of request to letters of acceptance, they process it, they work with DSCA, do all the processing, and then we'll follow it through to receipt, and then tracking all the way through until payment's complete, and then that contract is closed out. The WFO, Troy's here with us today, but he's part of the Washington Field Office, and Tech Affairs. Believe it or not, construction. We have about $1.8 billion worth of construction going on, 11 different projects. We're building airfields and a lot of other things. What do? Talked about it to the right. It is my right. Advise, train, and assist. We're also there to expand aviation. Again, I have other slides to get more details. Shoot, move, communicate, maintain or sustain, and medicate. And I'll tell you what, my next slide is going to show you what they are, where they are, and what they're doing. They are at war right now. They are on the border with Yemen right now, fighting the Houthis crossing the border. Now, at least the SANG is. So we have a brigade down there. And I'll tell you, what drove that home was the first brigade that went down on the border had some challenges with training. And so we were able to conduct some lessons learned and incorporate those lessons learned, specifically focused on the medical side at the point of injury. And it's been dramatic how much they've turned around. And nothing will drive innovation and change in any organization than combat. And we have seen that in the last 16 years. And we have been able to get them to adopt several of our models, and we can talk more about that in the next couple slides. Manage those FMS cases right now. It's about $35 billion total. The biggest cases out there are the aviation at $15 billion, and the ground maneuver, the labs, are about $19 billion. And then the program management contracting. Now, 44-year relationship. We are 100% FMS funded. My pay is paid for by the Saudis back to the U.S. government. Everybody's pay is compensated by the Saudi government. Everything is FMS. And that's how we have to operate. So if they give us a letter of direction and say, do this, of course it's got to meet the legal ethical piece, we have to do it. If they don't want to compete it and they want to sole source it, we don't have a choice. If I get a direction from the prince and he has a letter of direction that says do this, that's what we have to do. And that's part of the fact that they pay for 100%. 5-year umbrella case, really interesting. My background's a little bit of G8, working the POM, maybe a little bit the EEPEG stuff. The beauty about this budget is it rolls over. Think about that. You know, I used to get that question when I used to teach classes on how to build the POM. People would say, man, wouldn't that be great if we could hold money over at the end of the year? I said, man, that would be awesome. Last year, at the end of the year, we had about $35 million left over. Guess what? I got to use it this year on other stuff. So if we have efficiencies and we have savings and it has met all the requirements, I can roll that over to the next year and use it on something else, or to be able to spread it out or focus on something that maybe has popped up and we didn't anticipate. But the umbrella case is just like a POM. So just like 1923 POM If somebody builds that, we build a 1923 umbrella case. We build it for the Saudis, for the SANG. And we send it up there, and then they send it to the Economic Council and the Finance Committee, get it approved, and then comes back through and it covers us. Right now, it's broken down into everything but aviation because it's just a separate umbrella case. And then our budget that we operate internally, I operate about $360 million a year. That's done separately. So that's a completely separate case that operates, again, and it flows from year to year, and we're allowed to pass money down, which gives us a lot of flexibility. Now, where's everybody and what are they doing right now, and at least the key fighters in SANG? Slide. So there they are. I'll just say, without talking about specific brigades, essentially there are 3 brigades in Riyadh, I won't name them. One's up on the northern border, one's on the southern border. And I'll tell you, when I first got there last year, the 1st Brigade on the border was just ready to start coming out. And they were dealing with, by the way, sorry, I brought a cold back from Saudi, but excuse me. So they were just coming out with the 1st Brigade. And we went in there, we looked at them, and we said, R4Gen model, right? And they looked at us like, what? And I was like, hey, this thing called reset. They're like, what? So we had to go in there and show them and prove to them after 16 years of combat, understanding what an R4Gen model is, and a reset, and even a patch chart to anticipate many years out, knowing that this is not going to end anytime soon. And if you're rotating people in and out brigades every year, you've got to anticipate those requirements, anticipate the training needs, and get that on a calendar, and then force everybody to do that. And it was slow to start, but it's been amazing in the last 5 months how much ground we have gained. So you've got the brigade up north, the brigade down south, the brigade in the center of Riyadh, and those 2 building brigades are out in the east. And again, one will be finished this month, and then the next one will be finished in November of 18. Slide. So let's talk about our program a little bit. We're going to break these down into 3 areas. One, overall program. Then the next slide is going to talk our maneuver side. Then the next one's aviation. And then we're going to get into the #1 priority right now, which is their maintenance. And as we took a deep dive and we found some things that on the surface I couldn't see, once we saw them and let them see themselves, that became our #1 priority. Even though we're rotating units down to the border, we've got to get after this maintenance issue. So up at the top, the first green, and my old boss is back there, and he would actually shoot me. Jim Barkley would say, Frank, if you put any acquisition symbols up there, I'm going to beat your brains in. But anyway, so that green triangle up there beat our facility. Here's what we found. When they came off of the border the first time, they did not have a battle damage and repair facility. So we had 19 labs from the 1st Brigade that were shot up pretty bad, from RPGs to you name it. And we had no way to repair them. GDLS came in and said, hey, you give us the place, we will retrofit the entire building, and we'll start repairing these vehicles. I said, okay. We grabbed a very old building, and I've been back there 6 times, and they gutted it, and they've got 19 lined up, 5 of them are in the bays, and they're being rebuilt right now. When I say rebuilt, if you're a car person like I am, it's a frame-off restoration. They are gutting that thing, they're sandblasting it, they're redoing the inside, and it's every variant. Right now there's a command and control one in there, 3 LAV 25s, and an assault gun, yeah, and then I think we've got an AT in there also. It's phenomenal. And don't know if the Ministry of Defense folks have the same facility, but we're very lucky to have that flexibility and capability to when you see a problem to be able to solve it quickly and put something in place. The next piece is if you keep going along that same line of life cycle management and maintenance is the 10-year maintenance plan. So last year when we discovered that there were some severe maintenance problems within their entire fleet, and remember that the labs are 1900, but they've got a lot of soft skins, Pinsgauer and some other type vehicles from across Europe, that there were some challenges. I asked our SNS chief, Scott Lukengay, Colonel type, go out there and do a deep dive. It took 2 months to do a strategic study, and he came back and he says, we got some issues. And so we went through an entire 10-year plan to talk about, 1, get the 1020 across the fleet. 2, reset them. How often do we stir our fleet? Every 10 years, right? So the 3 lab brigades, the oldest ones, are 22 years old, bought in 1990 to 1992. They've never touched them other than doing daily maintenance and then occasionally some GS level maintenance. They've never stirred them at all. And if you want to keep a fleet for more than 30 years, which they're fast approaching, you better start touching them vehicles right now. So we looked at that. We said, okay, 1020, reset. And then what about block upgrades? engineered change proposals, ECPs, power pack upgrades. That diesel coming right now, 325 horsepower. What? No way. That thing is like, that's so underpowered. We need at least another 25 to 50 horsepower on that. Okay, the suspension, because they're adding stuff on there. Armor upgrades. Would it, add some sights into it, add some laser sights, or not laser, but laser range finders. All these things we could do to it that we've already been doing to our Strikers for years. We've got to do that to these vehicles. So we walk them through it, an entire plan to include changing some of, and including a depot. And that's where it comes back to the BDAR facility. When we're done battle damage and repair, the intent is that becomes that facility becomes a depot-like facility to allow them to start to reset and stir their fleet. Very important. Because, again, they do not plan on replacing it. They already told me that. And I said, well, then you've got to invest back in these vehicles. I won't talk deployment or reset, the next line, or leader development, because that's covered on the next slide. But case management. So I've talked about the whole program management process and how we function. I'll just put in there that the STAR, the lab, replace, and extend. Again, that is one of our number one focuses right now. And the 2nd and 3rd Aviation Brigade, that's coming up. Now, close unused cases. Believe it or not, we have about 50 unclosed, unused cases. So think of it as it's authorized money, and you have the ability to appropriate. That's the best way for all of us to understand. But the case still exists, and some of it even has money in there. So when we close cases now, and we started this about 3 years ago, these cases have they could have, one of them had $10 million left in it. So as soon as I closed it, I was able to pull that out and put it back towards something that they need, especially as they are rotating in and out of combat. Again, we are learning about changes and what we want to try to incorporate to make them better every day. All right, so slide. Maneuver. Let's talk about the maneuver. Last year, when the 1st Brigade came off the line, we actually, part of a team, went down and interviewed the brigade and got lessons learned. If you understand where we're working, sometimes it's difficult for them to see themselves truthfully, because they'll look at themselves and say, everything is good. We may have to go behind a closed door to have a discussion about what is truly the case. Tom Anderson, who we were both there together, he just left us a month ago, so and he worked with the Ministry of Defense Maneuver Force. You have to get them to see themselves. And we have made breakthroughs in the last 3 months that it's just been amazing. And again, combat drives innovation. So they came back, we did a study, they put an 80-page report together, and we sat down with their leadership. And again, that's where we came up with shoot, move, communicate, sustain, and medicate. So talk that medicate piece. They were having problems with people not getting off the point of injury and not surviving. And we had to show them it only takes like 4 basic things for you to learn and understand at the soldier level, be able to bring that, I'm not going to use an exact number, but let's say it's very high, 70-80% die to wounds. Just an example, that may not be the case. And down to a much lower number. Ours in the U.S. Army is 2%. All right? We've got it down to 16%. So, and 4 things. Stop the bleeding, get them breathing, get them prepped, and stop shock and move. 4 basic things. And put a 4 capability kit bag together, nothing elaborate, and then train their medics. Night and day, how much better they're fighting now. Why? Because they know somebody's there to take care of them. And again, that was our team looking at lessons learned and incorporating that into the training program. And it's been amazing. Now, same thing if you get into the R4Gen. What happened? We brought them back, and we said, an R4Gen process is 12 months long. You reset, you go through, maintain, you turn on your manning, all right, you look at your maintenance, and then you start your training once you get that back. That 1st Brigade that it came off the line, it was a little challenge getting them going, and they're the ones just deployed up to the north. And I'll just say we got to the last month, and nobody was going to go to the range and fire. We made the decision that you've got to go shoot. So anyway, that unit went out and trained. But because of that, we were able to turn to the senior leadership and say, you have another brigade that's going to the southern border where more things are happening, and you have a window to truly focus on a training intensive calendar, a gated training strategy, starting at the individual soldier, working all the way up, at least to company level. 1, they adopted it. 2, They actually filled an entire 4-month calendar out, and the brigade and the senior leadership signed it. That makes the biggest difference in the world, and they adopted this model. And they adopted it based on, one, our team's recommendation and the ability to get these guys trained. And what we call it, get them out of the classroom and get them in the field shooting and maneuvering. So that has been a big deal. Next thing we were trying to understand is, how do we infuse NCO capability in these organizations? We don't go anywhere unless we're together. Everywhere we go, at every senior leader discussion, Sergeant Major Stevenson we are together as a team to show them the significance and the impact of the NCO on any formation. Why is our Army the best in the world? Because the backbone of our Army are the NCO Corps. And they'll be the first to admit that they have not tapped into that capability. So we can sit down and come up with a 10-year plan and put in a BNOC, an ANOC, and a Sergeant Major's Academy, and in 5 years we're gonna graduate our first class. Well, how about the next 5 years of combat that they're fighting every day? So a phenomenal NCO out on the east said, sir, I'm going to put together a Warrior Leaders course. It's going to be a 6-week course, and we're going to pull staff sergeants and sergeant first classes out of the lab formations, put them through an intensive 6-week training cycle, and we're focusing on some basic stuff. I'm talking patrolling, weapons fire, communication, land nav, PT. Hold on, let me say that again. PT, a lot of PT. And just basic skill set, and then also leadership. How do you lead by example? And then we infuse them back in the formations. Because we felt that the only way we could impact units today, impact units going back to the border to fight, was to pull those NCOs out and then train them and put them back in, and then keep doing that. So successful that we showed our model to the senior leadership and the Prince in Riyadh. They've adopted it now within Riyadh. And so now the WLC, or the Warrior Leaders course, is now standing up there, and the first class will begin in the next 6 weeks. That's a big shift for them. I mean, you got to understand. Again, they're all about the history like I told you about, and there's goodness to that, to see your history and who you are and you're proud of, but sometimes you get welded to certain ways and you don't want to change. But to get these guys to be able to change and get better and to try to see themselves and where they have gaps, it's a challenge sometimes, but we're making strides. And again, it's because we had a great team here. Also with the leader development is also Command General Staff College, which we have stood up, a SAMS course, a pre-command course. Again, all the ability to try to affect the leadership. All right, so that's our maneuver division. Slide. Aviation, wow, 2008. No aviation existed there. The intent is to have 3 operational brigades, 1 training brigade, 3 airfields, 1 in Riyadh, 1 out on the East Coast, and 1 on the West Coast. Now, recently, we've come up with some concepts that we are the first organization out amongst the FMS U.S. cases. We're actually teaching the AQT. So our forces, AQT, okay, Aviation Qualification Training Course. That is basically taking, if you're an Alpha Lima qualified pilot, you get a upgrade to a Mike. So when I was an Alpha, I was a KW guy, but then Alpha Lima, and then got a Mike model transition. We're allowed to give, if they're Alpha Lima qualified, a Mike model transition. If you're a Delta Model 864 qualified, we can give an Echo model transition. Nobody's ever been able to do that after NET. And we're doing that right now. So that's phase 1. Phase 2 is the full AQC, which that means you come out and you're a basic aviator and you get a Echo model transition right there in country. And then you get a Mike model transition, because we have 864 Echoes in the Saudi force, SANG force, U-860 Mikes, and 8 6Is. Now, phase 3 of that, Flight School 2020. We're standing up a Center of Excellence in SANG to allow for both Ministry of Defense, and ultimately, our intent is to open it up to the GCC partners. So if you're from Kuwait and you want to go to flight school, you don't have to come back to Fort Rucker. You can go to Darab Airfield in Riyadh and go through flight school. So you can imagine some of the cultural challenges when they come to the U.S. really hinders some of their ability to get after some of that training. So UAE, it's basically GCC partner. Intent is to open it up. So those 3 phases of that. So right now, we have that 1st Brigade that's fully operational. We're expecting a deployment order to the border for a portion of that. And so far, since we've stood them up, they've done multiple gunneries. They've done high-altitude training, air-ground integration, fries and spies. And we're going to do one more. We think we're going to get a 4-week heads up before they deploy. And we already have another gated training strategy to get them through full gunnery, full MRX, and then kind of combine the two and then get them out the door. So that's with that first brigade. The other 2 brigades will be fielded by 2023. Slide. How are we doing on time? Getting close? 10 minutes? Okay, I'll finish up. So before we open it up to questions, now let's talk maintenance. So there I was. I went to that BDAR facility, the Battle Damage and Repair facility. And remember we were talking about we need to set the depot up. We need to do block upgrades. We need to do all this reset or, changes and ECPs and everything. So I go to the BDAR facility, and the GDLS guy pulls me aside, says, hey, I got to show you something. I said, what? He says, yeah, you got to see it. I can't really describe it. I said, okay. And he holds up remember the old the Caterpillar equipment? It's the yellow and black stuff. He holds up an oil filter with a 1992 date stamped on it. What was just taken off the vehicle that we worked on is the original oil filter. I'm not kidding. So I go, that's the original one? He goes, yeah. I said, okay. He puts it down. And then he goes, let me show you the air filter. That one was 1993. And so we went on to look at some other things. I won't go into detail, but I took pictures of those, and I took that to the senior leadership. And I said, okay, I know we were talking about doing depot level, block upgrades and ECPs. Well, we got a problem because we just need, in our world, Private Oatmeal loves getting his hands in there and getting dirty, right? Cleaning that, changing the engine, changing the oil. Man, that's what our soldiers are about. We just got to infuse that same passion and with the Saudi soldiers. And the users are not doing some of that basic maintenance. And so we have also, he shot the pictures out to the senior leadership, and I think they got into a little trouble. And so suddenly people are now in the motor pool starting to do this. And we've actually been approved, myself, the Sergeant Major, and then Ross Ridge from Vanell's here, and using some of his subject matter experts on the mechanic side, we are going to start when I get back, going down. We pick the battalion, we pick the company, and I pick the 3 vehicles. And they have no idea which one I'm going to point to. But when I do, they're going to open up every hatch. And I'm personally putting on coveralls, and I'm going to crawl through there. They don't really get that when they see a GO do that. And I've done it already where I'm throwing trash and everything out of the back of the vehicle. I don't think they liked it very much. But why? Because, look, they want to do well. You got to get down there with leadership, and you've got to really kind of, just kind of be part of their effort, and they work that much harder. So we may be putting some of the block upgrades on hold until we can get everything back to 1020. Anyway, this is our concept. This is what we're trying to do. Our number 1 is about the maintenance. But I want to close and just say again, security cooperation is so important. That's why we're doing the SFABs. The key to it, time, trust, relationships. Because if you can't give them those 3, the ability to get your message across and to be an effective security cooperation building organization is greatly diminished. And they got to know that you're committed to them and that you're there for them to make them better every day. It's been my honor to be here today, besides getting a ticket out of the kingdom for 5 days, and then hang out with you guys, and I look forward to anybody's questions. Sir.
Hello. When you're talking about your basic maintenance, do they have anything in the way of a military trade school as far as starting at the teenager level before you go into the forces, into the reserve?
Yes, so that's a great question, and yes, they do. They have technical colleges that they actually recruit from, call it, an ASC level type of certification mechanic that would be able to be recruited in. And when they are able to do that, 1, they get higher rank, 2, they get more pay. For every qualification and course they go to, they actually get a pay increase that, from that for their pay onward. But yes, they've established that. Now they recognize it could be stronger, and they're trying to increase that. The challenge they have is every time somebody gets a certification and every time somebody gets promoted, what do you think happens? They move them. I can't get them to stop moving people as soon as, because you get this mechanic that could truly go out there and work on that transmission, and then they move them out of the company. I'm like, why'd you do that? It's a loss of an investment.
Can we start them at age 16, 17, sort of a reserve?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, sir.
Can we start them at a sort of a cadet or reserve function at that age or 18, so they're already prepped for that before they get into the
You know
regular
what?
service?
Well, they bring them out of the technical colleges directly in at technical high schools. So they do have that relationship beforehand. So they're already doing that. I think they don't have a cadet program. They just don't have any of that. But they do have the technical colleges that they recruit from.
Thank you.
I'm going to give you a quick story just to give you an idea of what's going on in the kingdom. So national holiday was 2 weeks ago. First time you heard that the women in Saudi Arabia are going to be able to drive summer of 2018. They're studying it right now. What you didn't know is that Monday was Saudi National Day. And I saw videos of the downtown street of Saudi in Riyadh. I forgot the name of the street. I can never pronounce it. But they blocked it off, opened up all the restaurants, and there was videos that I saw of everybody together dancing. And initially I just saw the dancing. Somebody was showing me the video. I saw the dancing. I thought it was like Saudi music. He turns on the volume, you know, it's Pitbull. And so they're dancing, and there's no groups separation. There's no headgear. I mean, I had never seen that. And then the restaurants along the route, there was no separation. They separate families from non-families, and you can't mingle. They were all mingling together. And then there was soccer games going on throughout the kingdom where they allowed the stadium to mix. And they just opened up Skype and FaceTime. These are big leaps that are occurring in the country. It may not seem big to us, but it's big for them. And a big part of that, of course, is the current Crown Prince. We call him MBS, or Mohammed bin Salman. It's the Saudi national holiday. Saudi national holiday. Yeah. Big deal. Sir.
Sir, Captain John Cohen. Based on your experience, what would you say will be some of the greatest difficulties faced by the SFAB brigades that are being implemented in the near future?
All right, that's a great question. Here's the thing. You have got to get to know your soldiers. You've got to spend time with them. And you've got to care. And they got to really believe you care. Because if it's this superficial thing and they see that you're a flash in the pan and you're just coming in there and you're trying to knock it out and leave, what do you think the first thing they say to us every time we visit them or you're a new person? How long are you staying? Every time a senior leader comes to Saudi and they go to Riyadh, what do you think they ask the senior leader, the 4 stars? This is Prince Muth. He's like, how long are you in my country? And, I'm only here for a day. He's like, why do you always come to our country and you never stay? How can you get to know us if you're only here for a day? Why don't you at least stay 7 days? He says it to everybody. I don't think any other country is going to be any other different. They're going to want to know that you are committed to getting them better. And for you to do that, you got to spend the time. We have to spend the time. And we got to be there, and they got to know we're going to be there for a while. And then you're spending as much time as you can with them. You got to get to know the leaders. You got to get to know how they think. And I will tell you, a lot of times, I will bring things up to the very seniors. And they're like, that's not happening. We never do that. And I go, you're right. I don't say you're right. I go, okay. They go back later and go, oh, darn, we are doing that. That's not good. They just don't want to admit it. And that's fine. Doesn't matter to me as long as we get to the end state. Again, I wouldn't know that unless I've been there long enough that I'm at 15 months. I think that's going to be the key. So, and they are getting some of our best soldiers to fill out these ranks, and I think that's going to make a big difference. We're lucky. We have a phenomenal team, and it makes a difference every day. I mean, these guys are prime examples. Sir.
My name is Joseph Trevithick. I work for the Time Incorporated's The War Zone, and as I'm sure you are well aware, King Salman recently made a historic trip to Moscow, and there was a discussion in the press, Saudi-run press, about cooperative arms production and arms sales. And I just wanted to ask whether OPM SANG had any concerns about interoperability or whether or not that could impact modernization programs because of a sort of turf war over budgets.
That's a great question. So I don't think I could answer that right now without knowing what are they talking about. And is it hardware? Is it software? But you could run into a challenge. And we already have that. Remember, we cover on the FMS cases, foreign military sales. They have a lot of direct commercial sales. I'm fixing a lot of the direct commercial sales because when you buy that, you sometimes don't get the tail. And let's face it, 75% of your costs at the cradle to grave of anything you buy is what? Sustainment. And when you do DCS, you get up to a certain point and then it's gone. That would be my concern, is not just the interoperability, which is a great point, but how do you're now jamming your log system with a lot of other different stuff, which can cause a lot of problems. To answer your question, I don't know of anything in SANG right now, but I can't speak for Ministry of Defense side. But very good question. I'm getting the hook. So, again, it's been an honor. I know we're going to enjoy the last 5 days in country. We do know this. When I left, it was 111 degrees. I checked today, the high was 100, which that may sound a lot to you, but for us, man, that's some good temperature right there. So you all have a great day. It's been an honor, and if you want to grab me for some questions after this, by all means. If not, have a great day.
The next Warriors Corner will begin in 10 minutes. The speaker will be Colonel Ed